Anish Shroff here with ESPN's Dan Orlovsky, NFL analyst. He covers college football, covers pro football. He has been poring over the tape. So, Dan, as we talk draft and we talk quarterbacks, your position, let's start here. When you turn the film on, what are some of the traits that you look for that say to you, this is a guy who has skills that translate to Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, you watch the physical gifts that they have. Like, arm strength isn't everything, but it does matter. So your arm has to be good enough. I always say this. I don't like when people say he can make all the throws. I want guys, when you watch them play, they make the right throw at the right time. You know, anybody can go out there on a field and rip a 20-yard seam route on a line, but like, what happens if there's a defender there? So, like, do you have the vision and the feel for making the right throw at the right time? How you feel the pocket, how you operate in the pocket. Do you create operational space for you? Sometimes it's, are you a creator or are you an escaper? You know, some guys can go out and create things because they're so athletic. Some guys are just escapers, that they get away from the bad stuff. I want to see, can you go from, you know, the guy that's covered in college football to the guy that's open in the NFL? You know, they're two different levels. You know, covered in college football is basically open in the NFL. So just seeing kind of how you go through a read or a progression, if it's tied to your feet. So there's a lot of things, you know, Anish, I don't know if I go in looking for anything like bullet point specific. I just go and watch. And as the tape kind of plays itself, that's when kind of the notes start to come for me.
You've been in the building with pro quarterbacks. You were an NFL quarterback. What are some of the intangible things that separate guys?
Yeah, I think one of the things that stood out with both Peyton, because I was with Peyton for a year, and then Matthew Stafford for multiple years, was they had the ability to be two guys at once. They were two people at once. And what I mean by that is those dudes unequivocally, unapologetically know that they're the guy. Like, when they walk into the building, when they walk into the room, you just know that you feel and see that they know, like, I understand that I'm the starting quarterback of this team. This is my team. I'm the CEO of the billion-dollar corporation. And the way that they carry themselves, the way that they speak, the way that they go about their business, you could feel it. I'm telling you. So you could see that they're aware of that. But at the very same time, they go out of their way to make sure that, you know, I just want to be one of the guys. Like, I want to be a teammate, you know. So I know that I can't have any success without you, you know, and that it's, I have to do everything I can to make sure, you know, that I don't think I'm better than you just because I'm the quarterback, you know. And I think those two guys had that very unique quality, that they could be that same person at the same time. And that, to me, is a massive difference maker.
So when you were evaluating guys who've produced in college versus guys who have the raw potential that hasn't been tapped yet, how do you weigh college production or lack thereof?
Yeah, I think college production matters, but I've also seen a ton of guys that lit up college that couldn't play in the NFL. You know, and I think that there is this reality that over the past couple of years, a lot of the things that we have seen both in formation and plays and schemes be a part of college football have transitioned themselves into the NFL. I always say this, like, to be good in the NFL, you have to be able to think and you have to be able to throw. And there's different levels to that, and some do it better than others. But like, to get drafted and play well in the NFL, you have to be able to do that. Now, there is the third element nowadays where you got to be able to beat people with your legs. And again, there's different levels to that. You know, I think that the production, because I remember Joe Burrow coming out and everyone was like, well, of course, he had the greatest season in college football history. Had Justin Jefferson and Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Jamar Chase. And, you know, and you could just, the dispute to that was like, don't look at the end result. Like, that's one of the things that I learned from Joe. Like, don't watch the end result of the play. Just watch the performance. Watch the traits. Watch the skill set. Watch the process of how the person plays. And then that's indifferent of, you know, some of the results that happen on plays, because it's a dependent position. So You want to see guys play well in college, no doubt, and you want to see them play well in moments and situations and handle them. But I don't think they're mutually exclusive to success or failure.
The last part of this, and the last thing I want to ask you, and this sometimes doesn't get brought up a whole lot. Teams will draft a quarterback, especially early in the draft, and they'll think, all right, we've got a quarterback, now we build the rest of the team. The Panthers have done this in reverse. They've beefed up the O-line. That was a big emphasis last year. In this offseason in free agency, you added Miles Sanders at running back, DJ Chark, Hayden Hurst. Adam Thielen comes in from Minnesota. This quarterback is walking into a pretty good situation. You've assembled an all-star coaching staff as well. How much does that matter to a QB's development, what you're walking into? And I think of Russell Wilson in Seattle, and Scott Fitterer, the Panthers GM, was an assistant GM when they drafted Russell Wilson.
I mean, if it's not, 90%, it's close. I really do believe that. Because again, you're not taking whoever you take at one and they're a subpar talent from some small school. And you're just, putting a person who lacks talent in there. You're putting a guy that is supremely talented in that situation. We always get asked this question, like, where's the best place for this Carolina? It's the best place for any of these rookie quarterbacks. The ability to think you have an offensive line that I think is going to trend as like a top 10 unit. There's some veteran presence on the outside, maybe not a true bona fide number one wide receiver right now, but good pieces. I think you got Frank Reich, who's, the thing I love about Frank is coached with a bunch of different style of quarterbacks. Josh McCown's a big part of this as well because he's a little bit close to the college game, so he's kind of seen and felt some of that. Jim Caldwell, I played under coach. He's just tremendous when it comes to his mentorship. Thomas Brown, the reality of being a part of like Sean McVay's system pre-Matthew Stafford and then Sean McVay's system with Matthew Stafford and just experiencing all that. They could pour into these guys, and also a defense that probably should be top 10, top 12. So you don't have the burden of, Anish, I always say this, like, how hard it is to be a young player, go to a bad team. You got to break bad habits, build new good habits, and then, hey, we need you to do everything you can to win because our defense gave up 30 and you got to score 35. It's hard. So it's a very, very healthy place. And, truly, unless whoever the first pick is messes it up themselves, they should be successful.
Dan, we appreciate it. The Panthers, as we know, have been on the clock for a while. We'll get that decision soon. Thanks, Dan.
You got it, bud.